Stella Mason drove home after a long day at work. The sun was setting as she pulled into her driveway. She was tired. All she wanted was to eat dinner and go to bed early. As an aerospace engineer, her brain was always working hard, solving tough problems. Today had been especially difficult. She unlocked her front door and stepped inside her small house. Something felt different. Stella couldn't explain it, but the air seemed charged with energy. She shook her head, thinking she was just tired. In the kitchen, Stella turned on the light and gasped. On her floor were strange shapes and lines that she had never seen before. They formed a pattern that looked like it might be some kind of writing, but not in any language she knew. The strangest part was that the lines glowed slightly in the dark, with a soft blue light. "What on earth?" she whispered, kneeling down to look closer. When she reached out to touch the pattern, her fingers tingled. She pulled her hand back quickly. Stella took pictures with her phone, then tried to clean the pattern off the floor. Nothing worked. Not soap, not bleach, not even scrubbing with all her strength. Finally, she gave up and covered the area with a kitchen rug. That night, Stella had strange dreams. She saw stars exploding and being born. She heard voices calling her name in languages she shouldn't understand but somehow did. In her dream, she was floating among the stars, feeling like she belonged there. When morning came, Stella woke up, slowly. She felt a presence in her room and opened her eyes. She almost screamed. A woman was standing at the foot of her bed. But she didn't look like any woman Stella had ever seen. She was very tall and thin, with perfect posture. Her skin seemed to change color slightly as she moved, shifting between dark purple and deep blue. Her eyes were silver, like polished metal, with no whites or pupils that Stella could see. Her hair was black and moved like it was underwater, even though there was no wind. "Good morning, Stella Mason," the woman said in perfect English. Her voice was musical and calm. "I am Lyra. I am your new housekeeper." Stella sat up quickly, pulling her blanket up to her chin. "How did you get in my house? Who are you, really?" Lyra smiled. The smile was almost right, but not quite human. "The agency sent me. You requested household help, did you not?" "No, I didn't," Stella said, reaching for her phone. "I'm calling the police." Lyra tilted her head. "That would be unwise. Check your email. You will find the confirmation there." Stella grabbed her phone, keeping her eyes on the stranger. She opened her email, and to her surprise, there was indeed an email from Stellar Home Services, confirming her request for a live-in housekeeper, with today's date as the start date. "I never sent this," Stella said. "This is fake." "And yet, here I am," Lyra said. She picked up a shirt that Stella had left on a chair. "You work very hard. Your home needs care. I will provide this care while you continue your important work." Something in Lyra's silver eyes seemed familiar to Stella, like she had seen them before, maybe in a dream or a forgotten memory. Despite all the alarm bells ringing in her head, Stella felt herself calming down. Are you human?" Stella asked quietly. Lyra paused for a moment. "I am your housekeeper," she said, not really answering the question. "I will prepare breakfast now. You prefer coffee with 1 sugar and a small amount of milk, yes?" Stella had never told anyone how she liked her coffee. She watched as Lyra left the room, moving with a grace that seemed impossible. Over the next few days, Stella thought many times about asking Lyra to leave or calling the police. But each time she considered it, something stopped her. For one thing, Lyra was an amazing housekeeper. The house had never been so clean. Meals appeared at perfect times, exactly to Stella's taste. Strange things started happening. Plants that had been dying suddenly grew healthy and strong. The air in the house always smelled fresh, like after a rainstorm. Dust never seemed to settle on anything. At night, Stella would sometimes wake up and hear Lyra talking. When she peeked out of her bedroom, she would see Lyra standing by the window, speaking softly to the stars in a language that sounded like music and water. Her silhouette would be outlined by moonlight, her strange hair moving by itself. One week after Lyra's arrival, Stella came home from work excited. She had solved a problem with an engine design that had been stuck for months. The solution had come to her in a dream. "I did it," she told Lyra as she came through the door. The new propulsion system might actually work now. Lyra was arranging flowers in a vase. She smiled that not quite right smile. "Of course it will work. The equations are sound." Stella stopped. "How do you know about my equations?" "You talk in your sleep," Lyra said. She handed Stella a cup of tea. "Drink this. You are tired." The tea tasted like nothing Stella had ever had before. It was sweet and bitter at the same time, with a flavor that reminded her of her dreams of space. That night, Stella dreamed again. She saw herself flying through space, but not in any spacecraft she recognized. She was part of the ship somehow, connected to it. She felt happy, like she was going home. When she woke up the next morning, there were more glowing patterns in her house. They were on the walls of her bedroom now, pulsing gently. "Lyra," she called out. "What are these marks? Did you put them here?" Lyra appeared in the doorway. "They were always here. You are just beginning to see them now." "That's impossible. I've lived here for 5 years." "Time is more flexible than you think," Lyra said. She came into the room and touched one of the patterns. It glowed brighter for a moment. "Your work is progressing well. Soon, very soon, you will understand." Stella watched as Lyra's skin shifted colors in the morning light. "Who are you really? Please, just tell me the truth." Lyra looked at her with those silver eyes. "The truth is complex, Stella Mason, but you already know it. Deep inside, you have always known." She reached out and touched Stella's forehead gently. "The memories are there, waiting. When you are ready, I will help you find them." As Lyra's finger touched her skin, Stella felt a jolt of recognition, like seeing an old friend after many years. For just a moment, she saw images flash through her mind: a planet with 3 moons, a city made of crystal, and a terrible storm eating its way across the stars. "What was that?" Stella whispered, her heart racing. "That," said Lyra, "was home." 2 weeks passed since Lyra had appeared in Stella's home. Stella noticed more and more strange things happening around her. Water in glasses would ripple without anyone touching them. Sometimes her clocks would run backward for a few seconds. The stars she could see from her backyard window didn't match any star map she knew. One evening, Stella sat at her kitchen table with a glass of water. She watched as the surface of the water formed tiny waves even though the table was perfectly still. "Lyra," she called out. "Can you come here, please?" Lyra appeared from the living room. "Yes, Stella? Why is my water moving by itself?" Stella asked, pointing to the glass. Lyra looked at the glass. "Water always moves, molecules vibrate. This is basic physics." "Not like this," Stella said. "This isn't normal." "Normal is relative," Lyra said. She smiled and touched the glass. The water immediately became still. "Better?" Stella frowned. "You're not answering my questions. I want real answers." "You are not yet ready for real answers," Lyra said. She walked to the refrigerator and took out ingredients for dinner. "Your mind is still adjusting." Stella sighed and went to her home office. She had brought work home from the lab. Her new propulsion design was working better than anyone had expected. Her boss was amazed. Her colleagues were impressed. But Stella was starting to think she couldn't take all the credit. Her phone rang. It was Grace Porter, a colleague from work. "Stella, I just looked at your latest test results," Grace said. "These numbers don't make sense. The efficiency is too high. It breaks the laws of physics as we understand them." "I know," Stella said quietly, glancing toward the kitchen where Lyra was cooking. "I can't explain it either." "Are you sure the measuring equipment is working right?" Grace asked. "We checked it 3 times, Stella said. "The results are real." There was a pause on the phone. "Stella, what's going on? First you solve equations that stumped our whole team for months. Now you've built a prototype that works too well to be possible. It's like you suddenly know things you shouldn't know." Stella thought about the glowing patterns in her house, about Lyra's silver eyes, about her strange dreams. "I've just had some good insights lately," she said. "I'm coming over tomorrow," Grace said. "We need to talk about this in person." After hanging up, Stella sat thinking for a long time. Grace was right. The things she was accomplishing at work shouldn't be possible. The solutions came to her in dreams, fully formed, as if someone was putting them directly into her mind. That night, while Lyra was outside looking at the stars, Stella sneaked into the small guest room where Lyra stayed. The room was mostly empty. Lyra didn't seem to have many belongings. There was no suitcase, no clothes except what Lyra wore each day. Under the bed, Stella found a small metal box. It was warm to the touch and had the same kind of patterns etched into it as the ones that had appeared in her house. She opened it carefully. Inside was a strange object. It looked a bit like a compass, but instead of a needle, it had a small glowing orb that hovered above the center without touching anything. The orb pulsed with the same blue light as the patterns. When Stella picked it up, the orb suddenly expanded. A three-dimensional image appeared in the air above it, a map of stars and planets. One planet was highlighted, pulsing urgently. Stella didn't recognize any of the star patterns. This wasn't a map of any part of space she knew. She heard a sound behind her and quickly put the device back in the box. But she wasn't fast enough. "You should not touch things you don't understand," Lyra said from the doorway. Stella stood up. "What is that thing? And don't tell me it's a compass or some normal object." Lyra came into the room and picked up the box. "It is a navigator. It shows the way home." "Home? You mean where you really come from?" Stella asked. "Which is where? Exactly?" Lyra looked at her for a long moment. "You are not ready yet, but soon." She put the box in a pocket of her dress. "Your friend Grace is suspicious. This complicates matters." Stella felt a chill. "How do you know what Grace said? Were you listening to my call?" "I hear many things," Lyra said. "Your friend will ask questions. She may bring others. We must prepare." "Prepare for what?" Stella demanded. "What is going on, Lyra? I want the truth. Now." "The truth is dangerous," Lyra said. Her silver eyes seemed to glow brighter. "But perhaps you are stronger than I thought. Sleep now. Tomorrow I will show you something important." Despite wanting to argue more, Stella suddenly felt very tired. She yawned. "Are you doing this, making me sleepy?" Lyra guided her back to her bedroom. "Rest is important for the human mind. Sleep, Stella. Dream of the stars. Remember." The next day at work, Stella couldn't focus. She kept thinking about the strange device and the star map it had shown. If Lyra was from another planet, why was she here pretending to be a housekeeper? What did she want from Stella? Grace came to her office and closed the door. "You look terrible," she said. "Are you sleeping?" "I'm fine," Stella said. "Just working hard." Grace sat down across from her. "I did some checking. Your breakthrough came exactly 2 weeks ago, the same day you suddenly had a new housekeeper move in." Stella's heart beat faster. "How do you know about my housekeeper?" "I called your mom yesterday," Grace said. "She mentioned it, said you never told her you were hiring help." "I didn't tell her because I didn't hire help," Stella said before she could stop herself. Grace leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Stella hesitated. How could she explain Lyra? "It's complicated. Stella, I'm worried about you," Grace said. "First this mystery housekeeper, then impossible breakthroughs at work. Now you look like you haven't slept in days. Something's wrong. Let me help." Stella wanted to tell Grace everything, about the glowing patterns, about Lyra's strange appearance, about the star map, but she knew how crazy it would sound. "Come over tonight," Stella said finally, "for dinner. Meet Lyra yourself." Grace nodded. "I'll be there at 7. As soon as Stella got home, she told Lyra about the dinner guest. Lyra seemed unconcerned. "Your friend is clever," Lyra said. Perhaps it is good that she comes. Will you? Will you look normal when she's here? Stella asked. Your skin. Your eyes. Lyra smiled. I will appear as I wish to appear. Do not worry. When Grace arrived that evening, Stella was nervous, but Lyra opened the door looking completely human. Her skin was a normal tan color. Her eyes were brown instead of silver. Even her hair hung normally around her shoulders. Welcome, Lyra said. I am Lyra, Stella's housekeeper. Please come in. Grace looked surprised. She glanced at Stella, who tried to hide her own shock at Lyra's transformation. During dinner, Grace asked Lyra many questions. Where was she from? Where had she worked before? How did she meet Stella? Lyra answered everything smoothly, creating a perfectly normal background story. After dinner, while Lyra was in the kitchen, Grace whispered to Stella, She seems perfectly normal. I don't know what I was expecting. She's not normal, Stella whispered back. This isn't what she really looks like. Grace frowned. What do you mean? Before Stella could answer, all the lights in the house went out. In the sudden darkness, Stella heard Grace gasp. When the lights came back on seconds later, Lyra was standing in the doorway. But now she looked like her real self again, shimmering purple-blue skin, silver eyes, floating hair. Your friend wanted to know the truth, Lyra said to Stella. Perhaps it is time she learned it too. Grace dropped her glass. It shattered on the floor, but no one moved to clean it up. What are you? Grace whispered, staring at Lyra. I am what I appear to be, Lyra said. Her voice had changed too, becoming more musical with strange echoes. I am not from your world. Stella moved to stand beside Grace. She's been living in my house for weeks, doing things to my mind, making me dream of space, making me solve equations I shouldn't be able to solve. Lyra tilted her head. I have merely awakened what was already there, Stella Mason. The knowledge was always inside you. Grace grabbed Stella's arm. We need to leave, now. We need to call someone. Who would you call? Lyra asked. Your government? Your military? They would take me away to study me. They would take Stella too once they realize what she is becoming. What I'm becoming? Stella repeated. What does that mean? Lyra moved closer to them. As she walked, small objects in the room, pens, coins, the salt shaker, began to float in the air around her. You are changing, Stella Mason. The patterns in your home are activating dormant parts of your mind, parts that have been sleeping for many years. Grace tried to pull Stella toward the door, but Stella stood firm. I want to know the truth, Lyra. All of it. Then you shall have it, Lyra said. But not tonight. Tonight you must rest. Tomorrow will bring challenges. No more waiting, Stella demanded. Tell me now. Lyra sighed, a sound like wind through crystal. Very well, but your friend should leave. This truth is not for her. I'm not going anywhere, Grace said firmly. Stella is my friend. Whatever's happening to her, I want to help. Lyra studied Grace for a long moment. Your loyalty is admirable, but dangerous for you. She turned to Stella. The choice is yours. Should she stay or go? Stella looked at Grace, her friend for 5 years. They had worked together, laughed together, helped each other through hard times. She stays, Stella said. I trust her. Lyra nodded. As you wish. She raised her hand, and all the floating objects gently settled back down. Sit. This will take some time. They sat at the dining table. The glowing patterns that had first appeared on Stella's kitchen floor were now visible on every wall, pulsing softly. I come from a world very far from here, Lyra began. My people are called the Valorum. Our star system is at the edge of what you call the Milky Way galaxy. You're an alien, Grace said flatly. That word is imprecise, but yes, Lyra said. My people have been watching Earth for many centuries. We have always kept our distance, until now. Why now? Stella asked. Why me? Lyra's silver eyes seemed to look through Stella rather than at her. Because we are dying. Our entire civilization faces extinction. From what? Grace asked. We call it the Void Storm, Lyra said. It is a cosmic event unlike any other, a tear in the fabric of space itself. It consumes everything it touches. Matter, energy, even light. It has already destroyed 3 star systems near ours. Soon it will reach our homeworld. That's terrible, Stella said. But what does it have to do with me? Lyra reached across the table and took Stella's hand. Her touch was warm, almost hot. Long ago, before your recorded history, my people visited Earth. We found primitive humans and saw potential in your species. Some of my ancestors stayed here. They lived among humans. Some had children with humans. Stella pulled her hand away. Are you saying I'm part alien? That's ridiculous, I would know. The Valorum genes remain dormant for many generations, Lyra explained. They activate only under specific conditions. The patterns in your home are creating those conditions. Grace shook her head. This is insane. Stella is human. I've known her for years. Test her DNA now, Lyra challenged. You would find anomalies that no human doctor could explain. Stella thought about her recent dreams, about how quickly she had solved impossible equations, about how familiar Lyra had seemed from the first moment. Let's say I believe you, Stella said slowly. Why wake up these dormant genes now? What do you want from me? Lyra stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the night sky was filled with stars. Before the Valorum left Earth, they hid something here, a technology that could save our world from the Void Storm. Only someone with Valorum blood can activate it. We have searched for centuries, for the right person. When we found you, I was sent to prepare you. Prepare me for what? Stella asked. To come home, Lyra said simply. To return to the stars and help save my people. Your people too, in a way. Grace stood up angrily. You can't just take her away. She has a life here, a career, family, friends. The Void Storm will not stop at our world, Lyra said calmly. It grows stronger with everything it consumes. In time, perhaps 100 of your years, it will reach Earth too. By saving us, Stella would also be saving her home planet. Stella felt overwhelmed. Her mind was spinning with too many impossible ideas. I need time to think about this. Time is the one thing we do not have, Lyra said. She looked out the window again, but this time with alarm. They are coming. Who's coming? Grace asked. Your government, Lyra said. They have detected the energy from the activation patterns. They know something is happening here. Stella ran to the window. In the distance, she could see headlights. Coming down her quiet street, several black SUVs. How do they know? Stella asked. The patterns emit energy that your military technology can detect, Lyra explained. I had hoped we would have more time before they noticed. Grace looked panicked. What do we do? Lyra moved quickly around the room, touching the glowing patterns on the walls. They grew brighter at her touch. We must leave, now. They will take us away for study. They will cut us open to learn our secrets. I can't just run away. Stella protested. This is my home, my life. Your life is about to change whether you run or not, Lyra said. If you stay, you will be captured. If you come with me, you have a chance to understand who you really are. The SUVs were getting closer. Stella could now see that they had no markings, no license plates. Grace, you should go, Stella said. Go out the back door. Get to your car. This isn't your problem. Grace shook her head. I'm not leaving you with her. She pointed at Lyra. We don't know what she really wants. I want survival, Lyra said. For my people and for yours. She looked at Stella. The choice must be yours, Stella Mason. Stay and face your government's questions or come with me and learn the truth about yourself. The first SUV stopped in front of Stella's house. Men in dark suits got out. Decide now, Lyra said urgently. Stella looked at her home, at the life she had built. Then she looked at Lyra, at the stars visible through the window behind her. I'll go with you, she said finally. But Grace comes too. I won't leave her to deal with this mess. Lyra nodded. As you wish, but we must hurry. There was a loud knock at the front door. Ms. Mason? A woman's voice called. This is Director Olivia Ward from the Department of Special Research. We need to speak with you immediately. Lyra touched the largest pattern on the living room wall. It glowed so brightly that Stella and Grace had to shield their eyes. When the light faded, part of the wall had disappeared, revealing a hidden passageway. Quickly, Lyra said. They will break down the door soon. Stella hesitated for just a moment, then grabbed Grace's hand. Come on. They followed Lyra into the passageway. Behind them, they heard the sound of the front door being forced open. The hidden passage led to Stella's backyard, but it looked different now. The ground where her garden had been was moving, soil shifting aside to reveal something metal underneath. What is that? Grace whispered. My true reason for being here, Lyra said. Not just to find you, Stella, but to unearth this. As more soil moved away, Stella saw what looked like a door in the ground, made of the same metal as the device she had found in Lyra's room. It had the same glowing patterns etched into its surface. Behind them, flashlight beams cut through the darkness as people came out of Stella's house. There they are, someone shouted. Touch the door, Stella, Lyra said urgently. Only your touch will open it. Stella knelt down and placed her palm on the metal door. It was warm, almost like it was alive. The patterns glowed brighter, then the door slid open silently. Inside, now, Lyra ordered. The three women climbed down into the opening. Lyra touched something on the wall, and the door closed above them, shutting out the shouts and flashlight beams. They were in a small, dimly lit chamber. The walls were covered in the same glowing patterns. In the center was what looked like a control panel with a chair in front of it. What is this place? Stella asked, her voice echoing strangely. This, Lyra said, is how we will return to the stars. The chamber hummed with energy. The glowing patterns on the walls pulsed faster like a heartbeat speeding up. We need to leave quickly, Lyra said, moving to the control panel. They will have equipment that can detect this chamber, even underground. What is this thing? Grace asked, looking around in amazement. It is a ship, Lyra answered. Small but powerful, hidden here many years ago, waiting for the right time. Stella touched one of the walls. It felt warm and seemed to vibrate under her fingers. You buried a spaceship under my garden? How long has it been there? It was here before your house was built, Lyra said. Before this town existed. We chose this location carefully, long ago. Above them, they could hear muffled sounds. People, moving, shouting commands. They're searching for us, Grace said nervously. Lyra nodded. The ship's cloaking system is active, but it cannot hide us forever. Stella, I need your help to start the launch sequence. She guided Stella to the chair at the control panel. The chair adjusted itself as Stella sat down, molding to her body perfectly. Place your hands here, Lyra instructed, pointing to two glowing circles on the panel. Stella hesitated. Once we start this ship, there's no going back, is there? Your old life is already gone, Lyra said gently. The moment they found the energy signatures in your home, your normal life ended. They will never stop looking for you now. Grace put her hand on Stella's shoulder. Maybe we should surrender. Explain what's happening. They might help us. Lyra shook her head. They will not help. They will study us, experiment on us. They fear what they do not understand. How do you know that? Grace challenged. Because they have captured others of my kind before, Lyra said quietly. None survived their curiosity. Stella thought about her life, her job, her small house, her few friends. It wasn't a bad life, but lately she had felt like something was missing, like she was meant for something more. Will I ever be able to come back? She asked Lyra. If we succeed in stopping the void storm, yes, Lyra said. You could return, but you would return changed. The sounds above grew louder. Someone was using equipment directly above the ship. We need to decide now, Lyra urged. Stella took a deep breath and placed her hands on the glowing circles. Immediately, the whole chamber lit up brightly. The control panel came alive with symbols and lights. What do I do? Stella asked. To her surprise, she could suddenly read the symbols on the panel. They made sense to her, like a language she had always known, but forgotten until now. You already know, Lyra said, watching her closely. Stella's hands moved across the panel as if they had a mind of their own. She touched symbols in a specific sequence, not understanding how she knew which ones to press. The ship hummed louder. The floor vibrated beneath them. I've got something, a muffled voice shouted. From above. Metal structure about 20 feet down. Big energy signature. They've found us, Grace said, her voice shaking. Too late, Lyra replied calmly. We are ready. Stella pressed one final symbol. The ship shuddered, then began to move upward. Brace yourselves, Lyra warned. The exit will not be gentle. The ceiling of the chamber opened up like an iris, revealing dirt and roots. The ship continued upward, pushing through the earth. Stella's house shook, then began to collapse as the ship emerged from beneath it. Through a view screen that suddenly appeared on one wall, they could see people in suits and uniforms running away from the collapsing house. Several black SUVs were parked on the street. A woman in a dark suit stood her ground, watching the ship emerge. She wore sunglasses despite the darkness, and her face showed no fear, only intense interest. Director Ward, Lyra said, looking at the woman. She has hunted my kind for many years. The ship broke free of the ground completely, hovering a few feet above the ruins of Stella's house. Soldiers surrounded them, pointing weapons upward. Should I take us up? Stella asked, her hand still on the control panel. Not yet, Lyra said. The ship's defensive systems need to activate first. Another minute. A voice came from outside, amplified by speakers. This is Director Olivia Ward. We have you surrounded. Power down your craft and surrender peacefully. Grace looked at the view screen, terrified. They're going to shoot us down. Their weapons cannot harm this ship, Lyra assured her. But they could damage the neighborhood. Many innocents could be hurt. Stella looked at the destruction that had already happened. Her house was gone. Her neighbors would be waking up to the noise. We need to get away from here before someone gets hurt. Agreed, Lyra said. The systems are nearly ready. On the view screen, they saw Director Ward pick up a microphone again. Stella Mason, we know you're in there. Come out now. We can protect you from the alien entity. Stella laughed bitterly. Protect me? By locking me up in some lab? 30 seconds to full power, Lyra announced. Suddenly they saw Grace move toward what looked like a door. What are you doing? Stella asked in alarm. I can't do this, Grace said, her face pale. I can't leave Earth. My family, my job, my whole life is here. Grace, no! Stella shouted. They'll arrest you. Better arrested than lost in space, Grace said. I'm sorry, Stella. I can't go. Before Stella could stop her, Grace found the door control and opened it. A ramp extended down to the ground. Defensive systems are compromised while the door is open, Lyra warned. We are vulnerable. On the view screen, they saw Director Ward signal to her soldiers. They began to approach the ramp. Grace, please don't do this, Stella begged. Grace paused at the top of the ramp. She looked back at Stella, tears in her eyes. I'm sorry, I just can't. As Grace started down the ramp, Director Ward raised her hand, stopping the soldiers' advance. She walked forward herself, alone. Ms. Porter, Ward called up to Grace. Think carefully about what you're doing. Your friend is in danger. She's being manipulated by an alien intelligence. Grace stopped halfway down the ramp, looking uncertain. She needs your help, Ward continued. Stay with her. Convince her to come peacefully. We don't want to hurt anyone. Lyra moved to stand beside Stella. The director is lying, she said quietly. Once they have us, they will separate you from Grace. They will use her to control you. Stella didn't know who to believe anymore. Everything was happening too fast. Grace stood frozen on the ramp, looking between Director Ward and Stella. "Grace," Ward said, her voice gentle now. "We've been watching Stella for weeks. The alien has been changing her mind, altering her thoughts. The real Stella would never abandon her home, her career. Help us save her." Grace turned to look back at Stella. "Is that true? Has she been controlling your mind?" Stella thought about the dreams, the sudden knowledge of complex equations, the way her hands had known how to operate the ship's controls. "She's been waking something up inside me," Stella admitted. "But I don't think she's controlling me. I think she's helping me remember something I forgot long ago." Grace took a step back up the ramp toward Stella. Ward saw she was losing Grace's trust. She signaled to someone behind her. A soldier stepped forward with what looked like a small cannon. "Last chance," Ward called. "Surrender now, or we will disable your craft." "They're bluffing," Lyra said. "That weapon cannot harm this ship." "Are you sure?" Stella asked nervously. Before Lyra could answer, the soldier fired. A pulse of blue energy shot toward the ship. When it hit, the whole craft shuddered violently. Sparks flew from the control panel. "Impossible," Lyra gasped. "They have Valorum technology." Grace lost her footing on the ramp and began to fall. Stella lunged forward and grabbed her hand, pulling her back into the ship. "Full power now," Lyra shouted, rushing to the control panel. "We must leave immediately." The soldier was preparing to fire again. Director Ward was shouting orders, her calm facade gone. Stella and Grace made it back inside. The door closed behind them, just as another energy pulse hit the ship. This time, the impact was less severe. "The defensive shields are active now," Lyra said. "But we've taken damage. Stella, I need you at the controls." Stella returned to the chair. The symbols on the panel were flashing urgently. She placed her hands on the glowing circles again and felt power surge through her. "Take us up," Lyra instructed. "Focus your thoughts on rising. The ship will respond." Stella closed her eyes and imagined the ship lifting into the sky. She felt the craft respond, rising smoothly now. "They're firing again," Grace reported, watching the view screen. Another blue pulse shot toward them, but this time it splashed harmlessly against an invisible barrier around the ship. "The shields are holding," Lyra said. "Keep going, Stella." Higher, Stella focused harder. The ship accelerated upward. On the view screen, they could see Stella's neighborhood growing smaller below them. The black SUVs looked like toys now. People were running into the streets, looking up at the strange craft rising into the night sky. "Military aircraft approaching," Lyra warned, looking at symbols flashing on the control panel. "3 fighter jets." "Can we outrun them?" Grace asked. "Easily," Lyra said. "Once we clear the atmosphere." Stella kept her mind focused on rising, on escaping. The ship responded to her thoughts, moving faster and faster. The sky outside the view screen turned from black to deep purple, then to the darkness of space. Stars appeared brighter than Stella had ever seen them from Earth. "We've cleared Earth's atmosphere," Lyra announced. "The military craft cannot follow us here." 6 months passed for Earth, but for Stella, Grace, and Lyra it had only been a few weeks. The ship moved through space in ways that bent time and distance. Lyra explained that the Valorum had mastered what humans would call folding space, making journeys of light years in mere days. During their journey, Stella learned more about herself and her heritage. Lyra taught her how to access the dormant Valorum knowledge in her mind. Each day, Stella remembered more: languages, science, history of a people she had never known but was connected to by blood. Grace watched this transformation with mixed feelings. She missed Earth terribly, but she had made her choice to stay with Stella. Over time, she had come to trust Lyra and believe in their mission. "We are approaching the Valorum home system," Lyra announced one day. "We should reach the main planet by tomorrow." Stella stood at the view screen, watching as a distant star grew larger. Around it, she could see several planets. "Which one is your home?" she asked. Lyra pointed to a blue-green world with 3 small moons. "Valora, 3rd planet from our sun." "It looks like Earth," Grace noted, joining them at the view screen. "Many Habitable worlds share similar characteristics, Lyra explained. But Valora has 2 main continents instead of 7, and our oceans are deeper. Our gravity is slightly lighter than Earth's. You will notice the difference when we land. Stella felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Will your people accept me? I'm only part Valorum after all. You carry the legacy of the first explorers, Lyra said. The ones who visited Earth long ago. Their bloodline is highly respected. Besides, you bring hope, the key to activating the technology that might save us all. As they got closer to Valora, they could see ships in orbit around the planet, some small like their own, others massive structures that dwarfed anything humans had built in space. The collective fleet, Lyra explained. All our remaining ships gathered to evacuate the planet if necessary. Their ship received a transmission, musical sounds and light patterns that Stella somehow understood. They're welcoming us, she said, surprised at her own comprehension. They're asking for identification. Lyra nodded, pleased. Your Valorum senses are awakening fully now. Yes, they want to know who we are. She sent a response using the control panel. A new message came through. This time Stella understood only parts of it. What are they saying? Grace asked, noticing Stella's confusion. They're directing us to land at the central hub, Lyra translated. The elders wish to meet Stella immediately. The elders? Stella asked. Our governing council, Lyra explained. They have been waiting for someone like you for a very long time. Their ship descended through Valora's atmosphere. The sky was a deeper blue than Earth's, with streaks of purple where high-altitude clouds floated. Below they could see vast oceans and 2 large landmasses connected by a narrow isthmus. They landed in what appeared to be a city, though unlike any city on Earth. The buildings were mostly transparent, like crystal, rising organically from the ground as if they had grown there rather than being built. Everything was connected by graceful arches and bridges. Plants with purple and blue leaves grew everywhere, even up the sides of the tallest structures. As they exited their ship, Stella felt the difference in gravity immediately. She felt lighter, more graceful. The air smelled sweet, with hints of spices she couldn't name. A group of Valorums waited for them. Like Lyra, they had skin that shifted colors and silver eyes. But their appearances varied more than Stella had expected. Some were tall and willowy, others shorter and more solidly built. Their hair moved like Lyra's, defying gravity. One Valorum stepped forward. She was clearly old, with skin that shifted more slowly between deep blue and purple. Her hair was white and moved more gently than the others. Elder Neria, Lyra said, bowing slightly. I have completed my mission. I present to you Stella Mason of Earth, descendant of the first explorers. Elder Neria looked at Stella with intense silver eyes. Welcome, child of 2 worlds, she said in perfect English. Your coming was foretold many generations ago. Stella bowed awkwardly, not sure of the proper protocol. Thank you for welcoming us. This is my friend Grace Porter. She is fully human but has chosen to help us. Nyria turned her gaze to Grace, who tried not to show her nervousness. A brave choice to leave your world behind. The friendship between you and Stella must be strong indeed. It is, Grace said simply. Nyria gestured toward the largest crystal building. Come, the council awaits. There is much to discuss, and time grows short. As they walked through the city, Stella saw that many Valorums stopped to watch them pass. Some looked hopeful, others suspicious. Not everyone is happy to see us? Stella asked Lyra quietly. Not everyone believes that the old technology should be used, Lyra explained. Some think we should accept our fate, or find another solution. Inside the crystal building, they entered a circular chamber. 7 elderly Valorums sat in a semicircle, with Nyria taking her place among them. The walls of the chamber showed moving images, star maps, data streams, and a visualization of what must be the void storm. It looked like a black hole, but with tendrils of darkness reaching out like hungry fingers. Stella Mason, Nyria began. Lyra has told you of our plight. The void storm approaches our system. Already it has consumed 3 nearby star systems. Nothing we have tried has stopped or slowed it.
She said I might help somehow, Stella said. But I don't understand what I can do. Another elder spoke, a male with deep green-blue skin. The first explorers who visited Earth left behind a technology, a way to divert the void storm's path.
But it requires a specific genetic key to activate, a key carried in your blood. Where is this technology? Stella asked. Here, Neria said, touching a control on her chair. The floor in the center of the chamber opened, and a pedestal rose from below. On it sat a small device, similar to the one Stella had found in Lyra's box, but larger and more complex. The Nexus key, Neria explained. Created by your ancestors. With it, we can generate a field that will redirect the void storm away from our star system. If you've had this all along, why haven't you used it? Grace asked. The elders exchanged glances. It was Neria who answered. We have tried. Many of our people have attempted to activate it. Some died in the attempt. The key will only respond to the exact genetic sequence it was programmed for, a descendant of the original creators with the right combination of Valorum and human DNA. And, you think that's me? Stella asked. We know it is, said another elder. The patterns in your home on Earth were test markers. When you could see them, when they responded to you, we knew you were the one we have searched for. Neria stood and approached Stella. However, there is something you should know before you agree to help us. Not all of our people want the storm. Diverted, what do you mean? Stella asked. Who would want their world destroyed? Not destroyed, came a new voice from the entrance to the chamber. Transformed. Everyone turned to see a Valorum woman entering. She wore dark clothing, unlike the light colors of the elders and other Valorums Stella had seen. 4 others, similarly, dressed followed her. Zara, Neria said, her voice cold. You were not invited to this council. I invited myself, Zara replied. When I heard the human had arrived. She looked at Stella with silver eyes that seemed to burn. You should hear all sides before you make your choice, Earthchild. What choice? Stella asked. Saving your world seems like the only option. Zara laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Is it? The void storm is not what they have told you. It is not destruction, but evolution. Those who enter it are not lost, but transformed into something greater. You can't know that, Lyra argued. No one who has entered the storm has ever returned. Because they have transcended physical form, Zara said. They have become part of something greater than our limited existence. Neria stepped between Zara and Stella. Zara leads the Transcendence movement. They believe the storm is a natural evolution, a doorway to a higher state of being. But this is based on faith, not evidence. While diverting the storm is based on fear, not wisdom, Zara countered. We have reached the limit of what we can become in this form. The storm offers us transcendence. Grace moved closer to Stella. This sounds like a cult, she whispered. They want to commit mass suicide. Zara's sharp hearing caught Grace's words. Not death, human. True life, beyond the limitations of physical bodies. Enough, Neria said firmly. Stella will make her decision based on facts, not your mystical beliefs, Zara. Guards, please escort the Transcendence out. Guards appeared at the doorway, but Zara made no move to leave. Before you choose, Stella Mason, know this. If you activate the Nexus key, you will be fighting the natural order. The storm will eventually return. It cannot be stopped forever. But it can be diverted long enough for us to find a permanent solution, Neria insisted. Generations could be saved. Zara finally turned to leave, but at the doorway, she looked back at Stella. Think carefully about whose side you choose. The old ways are dying. The future belongs to those who embrace change. After Zara and her followers left, Stella turned to Neria. How many Valorums believe as she does? Too many, Neria admitted. Perhaps 20% of our population. Most are young, feeling they have nothing to lose. but the majority still wish to survive in our current form.